Hi, this is Lolo Bottoms and welcome to Story Hour Sunday. For my 6th anniversary, I wrote and performed a short autobiographical play in Dutch. This is a special story adaptation in English, a unique way to get to know me. I proudly present Fabulously Ever After, or How Drag Helped Me to Become the Man I Am. Make sure to watch chapter 1 first. You can find the link in the description. Now, without further ado, here's chapter 2. I am what I am. Meanwhile, after having been a regular guest for years, I started working as a bartender in a well-known drag show bar in Amsterdam. Back then, it was the place to be for anyone and everyone, no matter your walk of life. The whole world of drag intrigued me, and I had been toying around with the idea of starting myself. But back then, the common view of what drag was pretty much limited to men performing as female personas. Even though I know better by now, the idea of running into criticism and prejudice kept me from starting out for quite some time. When a special event was announced where only drag queens could participate in, which also happened to coincide with the 20th anniversary of the bar I worked at, I decided it was my time. With the support of some friends and colleagues, and carrying my newfound truth in the back of my mind, I found the courage to follow through. And so, on November 25th, 2017, Lolo Bottoms was born. The moment I arrived at the bar, it just so happened my colleagues were standing outside. They saw me coming and immediately called out, "Hey, Lolo, it's your turn on stage." There was no way back now, but there was no time to get too nervous either. I picked the first song that came to mind, which I knew the lyrics of, and performed singing live. Now, live singing is not my strength, and nowadays I stick to lip sync or spoken word performances. But I never regretted that first performance. What a rush! Filled with enthusiasm and excitement, I jumped into the drag scene with both high-heeled feet. I had a lot of support from my inner circle, but ran into a lot of misunderstanding from the community at the same time. I was willing to engage in conversation, but at the same time I was still finding my path myself. Judgment and criticism often hit hard, and it felt like I had to fight for my spot continuously. Sometimes it really felt like I made being misunderstood into a sport. The countless times I had someone standing in front of me, literally pointing a finger, spouting the same words every time. "I don't get you. You want to be a man, right? And yet you perform as a woman?" I've heard the same words so many times I could repeat them in my dreams. And even though the phrasing wasn't right, "I don't want to be anything, I am," it took me a while to put a simple explanation into words. Being transgender has to do with who I am, and drag has to do with what I do. I felt like a weirdo and an outcast for the longest time, but I never gave up. Even if I had my doubts a few times along the way, I knew I found my calling. I grew thicker skin, found even more joy in what I was doing, and took my experiences with me to find new ways to spread the joy and art of drag. And I decided to actively take people along on my journey by being more open about it. I became more of an activist, but always step out with an open hand and a smile on my face. Slowly but certainly, drag became a bigger part of my life. At the same time, I pursued my transition. Right before my top surgery, a dear friend of mine made a cast of my chest and created a silicone breastplate for me. I'm probably the only drag queen who's able to wear her own old breasts, and I find that equally as humorous as wholesome. The last weekend before my top surgery, I decided to throw a bye-bye boobies party at the drag show bar. My friend body painted my upper body, and I performed several songs for my friends, frequent guests, and strangers. Up until that night, I didn't quite realize the impact my openness has had on people. Friends, colleagues, and acquaintances alike came from near and far to congratulate me and wish me good luck. In the end, kindness and patience always wins. After my recovery, I had a change of scenery and found a new home base in Rotterdam. A slightly different scene, but the Netherlands is a small country, and I'm originally from Rotterdam. The world was about to change, as was I. During the pandemic, I quickly realized that a lot of people really missed the social aspect of nightlife, as well as the entertainment. So I started live streaming. At first during our national holiday King's Day, which was a success. And shortly after, I just started streaming about once a week, chatting with my viewers. When the world slowly started opening again, I took my streams with me to the gay and drag bar I both frequent and freelance at. Until the world opened up again, and everyone had to find their way once more. I picked up hosting again, which I've always loved. I started doing pageants, performed at schools, and wrote my first drag play together with a colleague. I rediscovered my path, not only in a literal sense, because, as it turned out, I still had a few battles of my own to fight with prejudice in the drag scene. In the beginning, I never wanted to perform as a drag king, thinking, I don't have to pretend to be a man, I already am one. But the more I recognized the person in the mirror, and the more I embraced myself, all of that seemed to matter less and less. My passion for drag knows no gender. A dear friend once announced me as drag fluid. Lolo is she, he, both, and neither. I am what I am. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, drop your questions in the comments, and see you next week for Chapter 3.